We are officially at the end of our 4th grade homeschooling year with Abeka Academy. Yeah! When I started homeschooling, I was really looking forward to making this video at the end. Just because oftentimes when you look online and you try to look for reviews, people do their unboxing of the curriculum and you see all the great curriculum and what's all in it, but very few times do you see the end of the year review where they're talking to you about how they made it work, how it really went, all that stuff that is really, really helpful to you as a parent when you're looking for a curriculum. Our son is officially a 5th grader and oh my goodness, I can't believe it. Typically when I send in the progress report, I do that on my own. I go to the post office and I send it in, but this last progress report for the year, I wanted Noah to be part of it. So he came along to the post office, helped mail it out along with our DVDs. The post office guy even gave him and our daughter a little sticker saying, I visited the post office. So it was really a fun experience. So let's get to the real deal. How did this go? How did we make it work? How did it work for our son? Let's get to it. First and foremost, I want to begin by saying that our son has never learned this much in his past 4 years of schooling. This was our first year homeschooling. Kindergarten, he went to a Montessori school, and then 1st through 3rd grade, he went to a public school. And I have to say that the teachers that he has had through his schooling have been amazing. They truly have been great. But due to the whole thing with COVID and everything, I as a teacher know that there was a lot of skills that were lost and a lot of lack of learning that happened during COVID. Therefore, when the students came back in person, there was a lot of back work that teachers had to do to help kids get caught up. So when we started with this curriculum, I have to say that my son was not ready. One of the things that we loved about Abeka is that it's rigorous, it's interesting, and it has that spiral learning approach. It introduces a concept and little by little, it built upon it. So when he came into 4th grade, he did not have K through 3 of those skills that had been introduced before. So he really did struggle. We had to take it with him very slowly. We did vlog our first day homeschooling with Abeka, and I do have it on my channel, so you guys can see the slow procession that we had. On that very first day, all he really did was Bible, arithmetic, and reading. Bible was great. However, when we made it to arithmetic, that was a shocking moment. I remember him in the first class, he's like, these kids are so smart. How do they do this? How do they know this stuff? He didn't really have the practice for it. That is one of the things that my husband really disliked about him being in school in general, is that they use Common Core. So when we were looking for a curriculum, we really wanted to make sure that it was not a Common Core curriculum and it was something more of what we learned, which is what Abeka is. In that first lesson, my husband had to sit down with him the entirety of the lesson and pause the video to do these mini lessons to teach him how is it that you carry when you add. I was just so impressed at what an amazing teacher my husband actually is. And I just hadn't really seen that side of him. He always wanted to be involved in Noah's schooling, but anytime our son came home with homework and it was that weird way of doing things, my husband would just get really frustrated. I remember during COVID when he was doing remote and it was math, I remember having me, a teacher. Yes, me. I've never taught math and neither do I want to teach math, but I remember having to go to his teacher's office hours so she could explain to me how is it that the problem was being solved and taught so then I could help him with this homework. Yeah, before we started homeschooling, my husband and I had a conversation that when he was in 3rd grade, we were going to decide if we were gonna homeschool or if he was gonna stay in school. 3rd grade came and we decided that homeschooling is what we wanted to do. We wanted to teach our son using a curriculum that was faith-based. It was based on our Christian faith. And we searched out to look for that. I went out and I looked at different curriculums. There was a whole list of things that we were looking for that would work for our family and that our son was truly going to enjoy. You know, he's bigger, he kind of has a voice of his own, he voices what he enjoys and what he doesn't enjoy. So we wanted to find something that was going to be a great fit for the entire family. First and foremost in our criteria was that this needed to be a faith-based curriculum. We wanted a curriculum that truly wove our faith through the entirety of it. And I have to say the Abeka curriculum does an amazing job doing this. In every single subject is just beautiful. Even when he was learning about his health, it ties it back to the spiritual aspect of, you know, your spiritual health. Second of all, we were looking for something that had structure. Our son thrives in structure. If there is a lack of structure, he becomes the most unhappy human being in the world. He likes there to be certain expectations, he wants rules, he wants routines, he wants to know what is expected, how, and when. We started with Bible and we decided to keep arithmetic right after Bible because for our son, arithmetic really took all that brain power, all that thinking that he had very early in the morning. So we kept the exact same structure that was laid out on the DVD. We were also looking for a curriculum that was flexible and portable. Since we were going to be homeschooling partially here at home, partially Sean in his parents' house, and sometimes on the weekend, we were looking for a curriculum that we could split up and that we could just take quickly to wherever it was that the learning was happening for that day. And this lent itself to that. I was able to fit the entire work for 1 quarter in a binder. This was all the stuff for 4th quarter, minus the tests and quizzes because I shipped those out already. So for both of our kids, we have backpacks. Whenever they are homeschooling in their grandparents' house, all my husband needs to make sure that is in the backpack is the binder, the penmanship book, the textbook for history and science or health, whatever is the reader that he's going to be using for reading class. That's all he needs to make sure that goes with him. He doesn't need to bring all of these workbooks. And last but not least, the piece that we really wanted was something that our son was comfortable with doing. He had his own criteria for curriculums. Even though our son wanted video lessons, he did not want to have to talk to the teacher itself. Like, he did not want to be in that virtual learning experience that he had during COVID. He very explicitly said, if I have to sit there and talk to all the kids and talk to the teacher, I don't want to do it. Abeka has DVDs that even though there is a teacher and they're in a classroom, he doesn't have to necessarily talk to them live. He interacts with the video and he'll pause the video and give his answers, but he doesn't have that pressure of thinking that other people are listening to him on the other side. And we also wanted it to captivate his interest. This curriculum just did it for him. He loved learning all of the science. He loved learning the Bible. Bible is one of his favorite subjects. He is just intrigued by it all. He loves the history. He just truly enjoys all of the concepts that he is working on. Math, he doesn't love math, but he'll do it and he does it well now. He went from crying at the beginning of the school year and not wanting to do math to being proficient in it and knowing exactly how to compute these problems. It's not as stressful to him as it used to be. The big question, how did we make this work? First of all, organization was key to us. Since my husband and I are working on this as a team, we are both working parents. So we are both handling this curriculum. He does the majority of the teaching. I do some of the teaching during the weekends, and I take care of all the administrative stuff. So I make sure everything is organized. I'm the one who does all of the grading, deals with the school district at the beginning of the school year and at the end of the school year when we have to do our evaluation, submits all the progress reports to Abeka as well. We wanted to make this a simpler process for everybody. We wanted to make sure that the whole energy that went into homeschooling while my husband was working was in the teaching aspect, in making sure that both our son and our daughter are getting the concepts that are being taught and that they're completing the assignments adequately. So we split our responsibilities, I think, pretty evenly. We thought about what are our strengths with our kids and what could we do during our time. Even though there's a video teacher, you as the home teacher still have to do certain things. You have to make sure that your children are understanding the concepts. You have to adapt things to their learning style and their learning pace. Once our son was very familiar with the structure of the curriculum and with the concepts of the curriculum, he didn't need to do every single problem in the workbooks. We learned that very early on because he was getting kind of burned out by doing everything. So my husband adjusted it to his pace. Our son became so strong with multiplication and addition, so proficient in it. So when it came to math problems, my husband might have him do 1 or 2 practice problems with addition and multiplication. However, he struggled with subtraction and division. So he made sure that he got as much practice as possible, that all his brain power went to mastering division and subtraction. We did Abeka accredited. So yes, you have to do all the tests and all the quizzes, which me as a teacher, I don't feel that's too much. I feel that is a very fair amount of work. You have to do the tests, you have to do the quizzes, and you have to watch the lessons. Now, when it comes to the video lessons, if they're working on a certain assignment and your child is done, they don't have to sit there and watch other kids complete their work. You can move on as long as you watch the lesson. I feel like oftentimes that's where parents get burned out. They feel like they have to do every single little assignment, every single little work. They have to do all the comprehension questions in the textbook, and you really don't. Really, sometimes when you are doing, like, let's say science, and there's comprehension questions in the workbook, you can ask those questions orally to your children and have them give you the answer orally because it's just practice. However, when it comes to the test, they have to be able to do that on their own. So you really have to know your child and know how is it that they work best. We really had to listen to our son and what he was voicing, with what he was understanding, what he wasn't enjoying, what he wasn't liking, or what was getting him frustrated. One of the things that we know about our son is that he gets very anxious about assessments. That really is so worrisome to him. So when it came to the quizzes, I told him, honey, the quizzes are just like your exit tickets when you were in school. That's all it is. And after I told him that, it was like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah, that's all the quiz is. It's like an exit ticket. You're just showing your mastery for whatever the concept they taught you in class. And after, like, he was able to shift his brain to thinking, okay, these are more like exit tickets, he became calmer because he was thinking of the quizzes like tests as well. When it came to the penmanship, the way we worked it out is that my husband would have him do all the penmanship practice with him. And then for the penmanship test, he would complete here on Saturday with me. And the way that would work is that he would sit there, I sat next to him, he completed his penmanship, and I just sat there and completed the penmanship along with him. And for some reason, me sitting there with him, completing the same test that he was, made it so much more enjoyable for him. Spelling tests was something that my husband typically completed during the weekend. Our son was more relaxed and less frustrated when my husband would dictate the spelling test instead of the video teacher. It's funny because at the beginning of this, when I looked at the spelling lists, I was shocked. My son was not used to these type of spelling words. He didn't ever have to study for spelling. All the spelling that my son used to get were all lists that had word families in them. And that was like super simple for him, so he never had to study for them. He would just do his homework really quick and be done. He never ever had to study for a spelling test. For these words, he had to study every single day. And at first we were like, oh, I don't know if he's gonna be able to do this. And after a quarter in of doing this curriculum, he was already starting to recognize spelling patterns and just doing so much better than at the beginning. the tears were gone. It was just, things got so much smoother after that first quarter. Our son is a reluctant reader. I did all the things that research shows to do with your children to help them love to read. I read to them every day. However, he still did not enjoy it. So when it came to book report time, he just didn't want to do it. How we kind of got him to buy into it was that we shared our reading. So he would read one page, I would read another page, he would read one page, I would read another page. We started doing that after we did The Year on Yonder. Was such a boring book, guys. Oh my goodness. I feel so bad for him, but he actually read that one mostly himself. He read Frindle by himself. He loved Frindle. Frindle was an awesome book. If you have a fourth grader who is a reluctant reader, read Frindle. It's a fiction book. It's not that hard to read, and it meets the criteria of at least 100 pages. So for our biographies, I highly recommend these Who Was books. They are so interesting and enjoyable to read. We did the Abraham Lincoln one, and then we did the Daniel Boone one. This past quarter, he had to do a book report on a biography. So the third quarter one, it was an oral report. So that one he did on Abraham Lincoln. This one he did on Daniel Boone. And these are such high interest readers. I strongly recommend them. We borrowed ours from the library, so we didn't have to purchase it. They meet the 100-page requirement for fourth grade. If you were to stop in the back, this one is 105. But if you were to read the timeline as well, that's 107 pages. And it's just interesting and fun to read. I mean, there's illustrations in there that help with what's going on. But these are great biographies and really high interest if you have any children that are a little bit reluctant to read. For our state unit, so in this curriculum, there is a unit where is about your state. And that one, it's kind of on your own. You do get your state notebook, which helps you along with it. And in the back of your teacher manual, right here, Appendix F, and it has the lesson plans for you. You can use this as a guide on what to teach for the next 6 weeks. And every day is pretty much laid out for you. What are the things that you could cover? There is also a state notebook that is like a scrapbook, and they complete all the things in it as well. And then at the end, when it comes to the quizzes, the questions are already pretty much written out for you. So this, honestly, this is what I used for our son's quizzes and tests. They have all the questions back here. I just typed them up, see? For the tests, it tells you which questions you should use on the test of the ones that they gave you there. You can make your own questions up, but why reinvent the wheel if you already have some there? So I use those to help kind of guide the lessons and to put the tests together. I did end up buying a very simple reader for our state unit, and it was this one. What's so great about this state, and it was the one about Pennsylvania, it's a very quick reader, but it just covers the bases. So we did read this just to get an idea. It has a lot of pictures, and I'm saving this for when our daughter does fourth grade. Right now she is in K-5, but someday she will be in fourth grade and she will be doing this as well. But it has like all the fun facts. And Pennsylvania is such a historic state that there's just so much to cover. So we did that, and we did a lot of online research. So he got to go online, visit the state's website, do some scavenger hunts online to help him learn the content. We also did a field trip. We learned that one of our local resources is maple syrup. So we did go to a maple syrup farm, and I did do a vlog on that. It was so much fun, and it was so interesting, and we got so excited that we actually tapped our own tree at the end of the yard and made our very own maple syrup. And it was so awesome. It was just so exciting. So you really can customize the state unit to whatever you want it to be. We learned that Oil City, which is not very far from here, was like that first oil drill for Pennzoil. They have a whole museum there that we didn't really go in the winter, but that is something that we're looking forward to going to see this summer as a field trip, as an extension of our homeschooling year. We just recently went to the Tom Ridge Environmental Center. It helped us learn about Presque Isle and just more about our region. So there's so much that you can do with this. You can get more resources from your local library. You really don't have to go out and about and buy a bunch of books. Go to your library. They have tons of them for free that you can borrow. And last but not least, there was our progress reports. I do have a video where I show how is it that I manage our progress reports. Since we were doing accredited, we had to send in a progress report and we got a report card in return. And that really wasn't bad at all. Along with our accredited program, you also get the standardized testing, which for our state, we are required to do the standardized test for 3rd, 5th, and 8th grade. So 4th grade wasn't a required year. He doesn't have to do it, so I might just not do it and just wait till 5th grade to do it since we're pretty much done with 4th grade. I just don't want him burned out. All in all, this has been an amazing curriculum. We strongly recommend it. Our son loves it. Our daughter loved her K-4 curriculum. We love the structure of it. We love that it fit all of our family needs. When we think about if we want to send our children to a private Christian school, the cost is astronomical. We cannot afford that. And do we really know that our kids are really getting the high quality education that we're paying for? I don't know. With this, we can actually afford this, and we are 100% sure that we are getting a high quality education with a teacher that is amazing. If you are a parent that feels a little bit intimidated about homeschooling because you're not a teacher, you don't have to be a teacher to be a homeschooling parent. You just have to have a high school diploma. At least in our state, that's the way it is. You have to have a high school diploma. With the video lessons, you can kind of breathe a little bit, because if you don't know a concept, honestly, you can just sit with your kid next to them and watch the lesson and watch how the teacher does it. Refresh your brain, because most of the stuff you probably learned and just don't remember. So you can sit there in the lesson with them and learn it alongside them, so that then you can provide that support. If you are considering homeschooling with Abeka Academy, I do have an unboxing video for 4th grade, but I also have one for K4, K5, and 5th grade, which is the one that we're gonna be using this year. One thing that I mentioned in my previous video when I did the end of the year review for our daughter's K4 is the importance of understanding that a curriculum is a tool. That's all it is. It's a tool. And you are the master using that tool. You use the tool however is needed for your children and your family. This is an amazing tool. I feel like it has more than what you need to successfully offer your children a high quality education all in one bundle. It is up to you how you make it work for your family. It's up to you how you structure it. One of the things that you don't want to do is try to make the kid fit the curriculum, because you're going to get so frustrated and the child is going to get frustrated and burnt out. When you get that curriculum, whatever the curriculum may be, it's not just Abeka, whatever curriculum you are choosing, you get that curriculum and you think about, how is this going to help my child learn? How can I make this work for my family? How will this meet the needs of my children? That's what you want to think about. You don't want to think about, oh, how I'm going to make my kid fit this. As a teacher of 14 years, going on to 15, oh my gosh, I'm getting old, guys. After working with so many curriculums and so many kids, I have worked with so many kids, I am giving a curriculum by the school. It is my job as a teacher to differentiate, to adapt, and to make it work for multiple learners. It's one curriculum. At some years, I had 75 kids in the same year doing the same curriculum. However, it had to be adapted for every child's needs, whether they had an IEP, whether they were an English language learner. I had to make that one curriculum work for all the kids. That's what is going to make your homeschooling year be successful. Thinking of the curriculum as a tool. If you're interested in other Abeka homeschooling videos, make sure to check out my homeschool playlist. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye.